What's up YouTube, Ace Trainer Luke here, and welcome back to our Radical Red version 4.0 Hardcore Nuzlocke. This is a difficulty ROM of Pokemon Fire Red that is meant to simulate elements of competitive Pokemon into a playthrough. Last time we battled past Team Rocket boss Giovanni and his Mega Mewtwo Y, while on our way to defeating Claire and claiming our 8th and final gym badge. Now all that is keeping us from the Elite Four are 2 rival fights, Victory Road, and our final encounters of the run. As we're leaving Viridian City, Professor Oak's aide stops us and let us know roaming legendary Pokemon are now visible on our map. It being our first attempt at Nuzlocking this game, I didn't know this would happen. Had I known, I would have delayed more routes to try and encounter more roamers that would help us against the Elite Four. As is, I only have Route 23 left as a possible roamer encounter, so hopefully we'll get lucky if we get there. Before we get to Route 23, Gary wants to fight us on Route 22. His team is balanced and scary, and you'll need to prep carefully for this fight. His Staraptor lead is one of the easier Pokemon on his team to handle, and we take advantage of this by protecting Venusaur and getting a turn to Mega Evolve for free. The next turn, we pivot out into the Zapdos we picked up in the abandoned power plant and take a few turns to roost off the damage. We eventually kill Staraptor with Charge Beam, boosting our special attack in the process so that we can threaten the Mega Blastoise in the back. Taking the kill with Charge Beam here is an important optimization because you always want to pressure the Mega Blastoise so it can't come in and Shell Smash with the potential to sweep your team. Gary's Iron Moth comes in with Booster Energy to give it an increased stage of special attack. This thing does hit like a truck, but it's a glass cannon and will drop to almost any ground move. Our Snorlax comes in to eat up 2 Sludge Waves and then flattens the Moth with an Earthquake. Supreme Overlord King Gambit comes in, and if you're not prepared, this thing won't even need a setup to sweep your team. For us, Infernape does well here. It resists all King Gambit's moves and can pressure it with fighting type offense. King Gambit burns its Chople Berry after Infernape's first attack and then swaps out to Azumarill to avoid getting knocked out. We bring out the Mega Venusaur we set up on turn 1 to counter Azumarill. Gary doesn't like this matchup, so he immediately swaps his Azumarill out into Sneasler. Sneasler is one of my least favorite Pokemon to fight against. It has good stats and good abilities, but more than that, it has a signature move called Dire Claw. Dire Claw is an 80 base power, 100% accurate, poison type physical move that has a 30% chance to inflict a status condition. 10% for poison, 10% for paralysis, and 10% for sleep. The 10% sleep can be really crippling. Sleep is such a powerful status that normally moves that put opponents to sleep don't do any damage and are inaccurate. Insert Sleep Powder. The move Spore puts opponents to sleep and is 100% accurate, but its distribution is really limited, and the Pokemon that do get it usually don't apply any offensive pressure when they are on the field. Insert Amoonguss. Gary's Sneasler is packing Dire Claw along with Close Combat, Fire Punch, and U-Turn. It also has a Focus Sash and the Unburden ability, which means if its Focus Sash gets activated, its speed will be doubled and it will outspeed your entire team. Our counter here is Lumberry, Sevian, Noivern. With Rock plus Ghost typing, Sevian Noivern resist or is immune to all of Sneasler's offensive options. We have the Lumberry to cover for potential status conditions, and Sevian Noivern gets access to Earthquake, which allows it to pressure Sneasler with super effective damage. Sneasler does outspeed our Sevian Noivern, and U-turns out into Gary's Blastoise. Last time we ran into this Mega Blastoise was in Silphco, and we severely underestimated it and it almost cost us the run. This time I'm a little bit more prepared. We brought Magnezone as the answer here. It should always take 2 attacks from unboosted Mega Blastoise and be able to retaliate with a strong electric type move. If we switch in on Shell Smash, it means Magnezone doesn't take any damage and we can utilize our sturdy ability to ensure that we always get a hit off. Blastoise does fall to Magnezone and Sneasler comes back in. We pivot into Sevian Noivern expecting close combat, but the AI anticipates a switch and U-turns out into Azumarill. This forces us back into our Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur and Azumarill spar for a few turns before Azu goes down to Giga Drain. This time on our pivot to Sevian Noivern, Sneasler makes the same play as before and clicks U-turn, this time going into King Gambit. Infernape can swap in for free on Sucker Punch and finish off the King Gambit with a Drain Punch. This just leaves Gary with Sneasler as his last Pokemon, and Sevy and Noivern can come in for the last time and finally put Sneasler to bed with an Earthquake. After clearing Gary, we can make our way up through Route 23 and we'll run into Brendan, who is guarding the entrance to Victory Road. He's packing legendary and mythical Pokemon on his team, which makes for a very difficult fight. The Pokemon that Brendan has are simply stronger than ours, so your preparation needs to be immaculate. Don't prepare one-dimensionally, meaning have backup plans for all the threats, and remember that sacrificing can be okay. At this point in the run, you should have an idea of what your Elite Four team will look like, and you can look ahead to the Victory Road trainers. If there are Pokemon you know you won't need for the Elite Four or Victory Road, it's okay to sacrifice them on Brendan if it allows you to set up safer win conditions for the fight. Brendan leads with a Focus Sash Deoxys attack. This is a mixed set, meaning it can do damage on both the physical and special side, and also has insane coverage between Psychic, Ice Beam, Superpower, and Extreme Speed. The only counterplay here is to lead with a very bulky Pokemon that can take a hit, chip it to get rid of its Focus Sash, and try to kill with a priority move later. Deoxys attack does hit hard, but also has paper-thin defenses. On turn 1, the worst case scenario happens, and Deoxys attack hard switches out into Jirachi. I don't mind Jirachi coming in, but I am worried about the Focus Sash on Deoxys still being intact. The Mantine we led with hits Jirachi with a flip turn, and we take a pivot into our Azumarill. This Jirachi is Choice Scarf, so we should always protect in front of it to confirm what move it is going to lock into. We sent Azumarill in intentionally to try and bait Thunder Punch, and after Jirachi takes the bait, we can pivot into our Lightning Rod, Sevy, and Zebstrika. Since the AI knows Thunder Punch will only boost my special attack, I'm expecting it to choose a pivot, but Brendan decides just to stay in, and as a result, Sevy and Zebstrika hits Jirachi with a +2 Volt Switch, bringing it to extremely low HP. Jirachi is still locked into Thunder Punch, so we repeat the same pattern of play and use Azumarill to bait another Thunder Punch into Sevy and Zebstrika. This time on our Volt Switch, Brendan does choose a pivot and goes into Deoxys attack. This is the best case scenario because we get rid of the Focus Sash that I was worried about earlier. Our Sevy and Noivern comes in to try and pick up Deoxys with a priority Shadow Sneak. Brendan preserves Deoxys by pivoting into Mega Sceptile. Our Skarmory comes in to 1v1 Mega Sceptile, and this brings in Brendan's Landorus Incarnate. Like Deoxys attack, we don't have any straight up answers to Landorus Eye, so we need to take a sophisticated approach. Again, like Deoxys, Landorus is also a mixed set, having mostly special moves, but also packing a Rock Slide. Sevy and Noivern is a good defensive option against it, as it resists or is immune to all its special moves, and can hit it with Will-O-Wisp to reduce the Rock Slide damage. We weave in a Protect to get a free turn of burn damage before pivoting Sevy and Noivern out into Mantine. On Mantine, Landorus Eye pivots out into Huntail, which Azumarill can come into 1v1. Brendan's Choice Band Galarian Zapdos comes in, and this thing is simply a delete button. The stab offensive options of Close Combat and Brave Bird complement each other well, and it also has Blaze Kick and U-Turn for coverage. We protect with Azumarill and confirm Galarian Zapdos locking into Brave Bird. This makes Magnezone our only available pivot. From here, Brendan and I get into a pivot war. He always pivots Landorus Incarnate on Magnezone. We always pivot into Sevy and Noivern on Landorus. He always pivots into Galarian Zapdos on Sevy and Noivern. And from there, we go back into Magnezone, completing the loop. While this seems like a stalemate that could go on forever, we're the ones making progress because every turn Landorus is on the field, it takes a tick of burn damage. Eventually, we get to the point where Landorus will die to burn the next turn, and this is where the momentum for the fight swings drastically in our favor. Rather than going for the safe option of locking in a Shadow Sneak for a priority kill, I correctly predict the switch into Galarian Zapdos and land a Will-O-Wisp on it. After landing the burn, the damage output from Galarian Zapdos is severely mitigated, and we don't have to be as wary around it. We roost with Sevy and Noivern more to scout than anything, and after Galarian Zapdos locks in a Brave Bird, we take a reliable pivot into Magnezone. We go for the Volt Switch kill with Magnezone, but Brendan parries by going into Landorus Eye. Landorus is immune to our Volt Switch, but with the position we set up, we can simply protect the next turn as Landorus dies to burn. Brendan's Jirachi makes another appearance, flinches us once with Zen Headbutt, and then pivots out into Galarian Zapdos. Zapdos does get in for free here, as I was going for Protect to try and maximize recovery from leftovers. When the opponent switches, Protect fails, so we can click it again to scout for which move Zapdos wants to lock into. Brendan actually locks into U-turn, which is great for us. Since Magnezone is slower than Galarian Zapdos, it will guarantee get a Volt Switch off into whatever wants to switch in. Jirachi comes in to die on the switch. The following turn, Azumarill picks up Deoxys' attack with a priority Aqua Jet, and then Azumarill wraps up the fight by picking up Galarian Zapdos with Play Rough. The Victory Road trainers are honestly fun. Being so far in the game means we have a ton of resources available to us and can execute some pretty flashy strats. There are some major threats, especially ace trainers Rolando and George, but none of the trainers here match the difficulty of Gary or Brendan. Remember, with just the Elite Four left after this, sacrificing Pokemon is okay if you feel it makes a specific fight safer. We start off with Ace Trainer Naomi. She has some hard hitters, but her team is linear and easily countered. Wide Lens, Technician, Population Bomb, Mousehold is the lead, and we use Rocky Helmet Skarmory for this. If Mousehold hits Skarmory with a Population Bomb, it will KO itself before the 10th hit. So instead, it opts to U-turn out, and we use this as an opportunity to set up Stealth Rocks. Stealth Rocks go crazy in this fight, breaking Galvantula's Focus Sash and outright KOing the Shedinja whenever it wants to switch in. Naomi pivots into her Flayaway Veluza, which is countered by Shell Armor Crawdaunt. Mega Absol makes an appearance, and we can outright wall it with Fur Coat Walrein. Seeing this, Mega Absol pivots into Mousehold. We execute the trap from earlier, and Mousehold KOs itself after a few Population Bomb hits on Skarmory. Galvantula comes in and loses to Mega Camerupt. Mega Absol makes another appearance and confirms it can't break Walrein, and Shedinja rounds up the fight by immediately dying to Stealth Rocks. Ace Trainer Rolando is up next and will require a bit more effort than Naomi. His lead is a Regenerator, Shedtail, Cyclizar that our Magnezone OHKOs with Body Press. We chose Magnezone for this because as an electric type, it isn't susceptible to getting hacked by Body Slam Paras. Dragon Dance Flygon comes in and our Galarian Weezing can handle this. We land a Strange Steam dealing over 50% before Flygon pivots into Crobat. This Crobat can deal out massive damage if it lands a Sniper crit. The best bet we have is throwing Assault Vest Zapdos at it. We get lucky and Crobat misses a Hurricane. This lets Zapdos get a clean kill with Volt Switch. We send out Golisopod after our Volt Switch since it is our answer to Rolando's Mega Kingler, and Kingler is the scariest Pokemon on the team. Mega Kingler is custom to Radical Red and is supposed to emulate Kingler's G-Max form. The buffs they gave it were part Steel typing and Tough Claws as its ability. Golisopod does get immediately confronted with Mega Kingler and lands 2 drill runs to dispatch it back to its Pokeball. Rolando's Calm Mind Hatterene comes in next, and we have a really creative solution here. Our Choice Band Gyarados can outspeed and OHKO it with Iron Head, but there are some scenarios where Gyarados doesn't get in safely. To account for this, we have leftovers Teleport Delphox. In Radical Red, Teleport retains its Gen 8 mechanics, which is a negative priority move that allows you to swap out to any Pokemon. Since Hatterene can't do any meaningful lasting damage to our Delphox set, we can always use Delphox to get Gyarados in for free. Gyarados does its job and lands a huge Iron Head, putting an end to Hatterene. And from there, it's just a matter of Galarian Weezing coming back out to finish off the Flygon. After Rolando, we run into Ace Trainer George. He's got some strong Pokemon and we must tread carefully. Despite having so many late game resources available to us, we're still susceptible to getting swept by Shell Smash Cloyster. Our Snorlax meets the Alolan Executor lead and 2-hit KOs it with Ice Punch. We equip Snorlax with safety goggles to get around Sleep Powder. Life Orb Regenerator Mienshao comes in and wants to target Snorlax down with a close combat kill. We pivot out of this by going into Galarian Weezing, and we click Will-O-Wisp to burn the Mienshao and cripple its damage output. The next few turns look really weird. I just spam Will-O-Wisp against the already burned Mienshao as it just attacks. The thing is, I can just kill this at any time with a fairy type move, but I'm scared of killing it and giving a free switch into Cloyster for it to set up. We can afford to click Will-O-Wisp for a few turns to try and at least bait the Mienshao into switching and burn whatever wants to come in. This patience pays off, as on the third turn, Mienshao does pivot into Cloyster, but Disaster Strikes and Galarian Weezing misses the Will-O-Wisp. At this point, our best bet is to use Aqua Breed Paldean Tauros to try and solo Cloyster, but that's not guaranteed. As a backup plan for Cloyster, we also have Choice Specs Blazing Soul Rapidash that can always kill Cloyster with a priority flamethrower if need may be. I can even sacrifice Pokemon to get Rapidash in safely if it comes down to it. In the fight, Aqua Breed Paldean Tauros does handle Cloyster, but I wanted to share my thought process for how I approach this fight, as I feel it is very instructional. With only the Victory Road fights left, getting through to the Elite Four while preserving only the Pokemon you might need in the end is the most important thing. After Cloyster falls, Mienshao comes back in and has its soul owned by Galarian Weezing again. This time, we shrug off a couple attacks while using Pain Split to stay healthy. Eventually, Mienshao switches into Mega Pinsir. We brought a bulky Zapdos set to deal with it, and Pinsir even activates Static, giving Zapdos the speed advantage. I can go for the kill with an electric type move, but figure the Donphan switch is likely and go for a Roost to ensure Zapdos doesn't get worn down. We get this prediction right and Donphan comes in. We go through Paldean Aqua Breed Tauros for an Intimidate and then into Chestnut. Chestnut goes for Horn Leech as Donphan pivots out into Mega Pinsir. We Spiky Shield for some additional chip damage on Mega Pinsir before repeating our Zapdos pivot. This time, Zapdos hasn't taken quite as much damage on the switch-in, so instead of roosting, we make a safer play of clicking Protect to get some leftovers recovery. The next turn, we go for a Volt Switch kill, and Mega Pinsir decides to stay in, bringing George down to his last two Pokemon. After Volt Switch, Chestnut comes in and solos the rest of the fight. We can spam Horn Leech against both Mienshao and Donphan, keeping us healthy as we hack our way through to victory. The next trainer is Ace Trainer Caroline, who has a mono grass type team plus a Mega Lopunny for some reason. The lead Blossom simply drops to one Sludge Bomb from our Mega Venusaur. Mega Lopunny comes in and we pivot into Amoonguss, tanking the incoming Fake Out in a close combat before putting the rabbit to sleep with Spore. Mega Lopunny switches out to a Vileplume that struggles against our Chestnut because we can block Sludge Bomb with the ability Bulletproof. This interaction was still a bit dicey because for some reason I severely underestimated the damage Chestnut would take. Nevertheless, we dodge a crit and eventually kill Vileplume with a Zen Headbutt. Caroline's Parasect comes in and surprisingly does more damage than you would think to our Mega Venusaur. Venusaur can still win this interaction safely by alternating between Charm and Synthesis until Parasect is -6 attack. From here, we click Sludge Bomb and even land a cheeky Poison, getting through Parasect's Focus Sash in one turn. The next Pokemon is an opposing Amoonguss. We get unnecessarily fancy with Zapdos and try to eliminate it with Hurricane in one fell swoop to avoid having to deal with Regenerator. But Zapdos misses the Hurricane, so we end up resorting to Air Slash anyway. We're safety goggles here, so we can't be put to sleep. Amoonguss heals itself by switching out, allowing Zapdos to pick up a 2-hit KO on the sleeping Mega Lopunny. And to wrap up the fight, Zapdos goes for one final Air Slash on Amoonguss. The Monotype theme continues with Ace Trainer Colby having all water types. The only things here that stop a Choice Specs Sevian Substrika sweep are the Focus Sash for Alligator and Empoleon with a Calm Mind boost. We lead with Tentacruel, who is able to break for Alligator's Focus Sash and get Sevian Substrika in safely on Swanna. And from here, it's just down the line with 5 Thunderbolts. And at long last, after 8 Kanto gym leaders, dozens of Team Rocket fights, 6 Johto gym leaders, terrifying rival battles, 4 gym leader rematches, and countless mini-boss fights, we come to the very last trainer of Victory Road and the last obstacle we have before our showdown with the Elite Four. Ace Trainer Alexa has a combination of all fairy and normal type Pokemon. This fight is safe, but you still need good preparation, and the only way you can go wrong is if you try to brute force your way through her team. She has some of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game, but they lack offensive pressure, so as long as your team does consistent damage and has longevity, you'll be fine. Gengar outspeeds and OHKOs the lead Clefable, and for some reason this brings in Chansey. Chansey's only way of doing damage are through Toxic and Seismic Toss, so Gengar completely walls it. We taunt it before doing anything else so that it can't support its team with Wish, and then just simply hack away at it with Sludge Bomb until it drops. Choice Band Kamala comes in and sees a knockoff kill. Galarian Weezing comes in for Gengar to tank the attack. We gave all of our Pokemon Protect for this fight so that we can always confirm what move Kamala locks into. Just in case the AI were to go for a prediction, this forces Alexa to pivot out into her Mega Audino. Mega Audino is bulky, but has similar issues to Chansey where it lacks offense, and is slowed down even more by the fact that it can't Toxic our Galarian Weezing. Alexa switches back into her Komala, which now sees a Frustration kill, and this allows the pivot back into Gengar. Sludge Bomb is free into this team, and Komala drops to the second Sludge Bomb from Gengar. Alexa's Wigglytuff comes in, and at full HP is bulky enough to tank a Sludge Bomb. We could stay in, but we're playing it ultra safe and pivot a Mega Camera up on the Thunderbolt. This is just an added precaution to make sure full Paras can't hack us out of our mind. Wigglytuff drops to Heavy Slam from Mega Camerupt, and this just leaves the damaged Mega Audino in the back. A pivot into any of our poison types work here, so as long as we're immune to the incoming Toxic. We choose Gengar and go for the same pattern of play that has proved successful in this fight. Taunt to stop Wish plus Protect, and then Sludge Bomb. There are no more Pokemon to switch into, so Mega Audino falls and Ace Trainer Alexa is defeated. I've never played a game like Radical Red before, but I've enjoyed the hardcore Nuzlocke immensely. I never expected our first attempt at this game to make it this far, but can say for sure that should attempt 1 fail, I will be back. I have some ideas of optimizations I missed, but that doesn't mean I'm giving up hope for being one and done with this game. I spent several days Elite Four theory crafting and think we have a reasonable shot. I'm not dropping any spoilers in this video, but make sure you stay tuned next week for Ace Trainer Luke's Radical Red Attempt 1 finale.